Well, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting. Hello, Aurora. How are you today? Thank you for joining me today. So, today, everyone, if you not yet follow our webinar discussions, these are a great source and a great option for connecting Blue Star Career members, connect our community with our live opportunities, introductions of resources, introduction of awareness of employers, but also creating employment pathway for all Blue Star members. We are in July. We are exploring career path without the pressure. So today we have an excellent discussion to show to welcome you, but also share with you. July tends to be a slower hiring season, and it makes the perfect time for you to invest in self-paced growth through learning, networking, and also reflection halfway through the year. So I hope that you can join us as we kick off summer learning in the neighborhood. We have so many options, but also through these webinars. This is learning. You're learning about career options, different industries, and so everything is all relevant in the Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood. Aurora, welcome.
Yes, hi, I'm excited to be here. If anybody is curious about a career in museums, we're happy to welcome Adam Rozan today. He is a partnerships leader at the National Museum of American History, so we're excited to speak with him today.
Excellent. So, are you all ready to get started, everyone? So, please post it in the comments. Tell us where you're watching. We are here in East Coast to East Coast. So, I'm West Coast all the way in the Northwest, and then Aurora all the way down to the Florida section. So, we're covering all communities, and we love to be able to hear and see your comments, your questions. So, let's begin and let's start and welcome our guests. So, thank you so much for supporting again. Meet us in the neighborhood, but also first share your comments where you're watching. Thank you. So, hello, hello. Welcome once again. Thank you so much. Hello, Adam. We'll be just in a moment to introduce you. But first, I want to put Aurora on the spot and have her introduce herself a little bit more about what the great work she started doing here for Blue Star families and on behalf of Blue Star Careers as well. And so, Aurora, welcome. Take it over. You are leading this communication. And to all of our folks who normally watch these, please post your comments, your questions, and tell us where you're watching and also what kind of stuff you have curiosity about museums. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I actually have recently on Blue Star Families got the position of the Coast Guard representative for the Military Spouse Circle of Influence, powered by Target. Thank you, Adam, for the support. Super excited to start this position. If you need help finding a job posting or something that fits you, resources, or just leaning on somebody for support through this time as a military spouse, please reach out. I'm here to help support you. And I also for the next month, will be the Blue Star Connect Outdoor Leader for Miami, Florida. I've been doing it for the past year and a half where I create and facilitate one event out outdoors a month, and where families just get together and get to enjoy the great outdoors. So, as we're PCSing, I am leaving that position, but it's been a super amazing time enjoying that position here in Miami. But I'm excited to be in careers and excited to speak with Adam today. So, Adam, Rosanna, if you would please introduce yourself to our virtual community. We're excited to have you here and just tell us about your current role you're in right now.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. I don't know about you all, but I want to hear that intro over and over again. I love that video. It's so exciting. I need one of those to start each day. Again, I'm Adam Rozan. I work at the National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C. It's an honor, really an honor to spend time with you all. I do love our collaboration, our partnership with Blue Star Families. We are a proud Blue Star Museum, not just over the summer, but every day of the year. We are here to welcome, celebrate, and honor our active duty members and our veterans. And so we really love seeing our military community at the museum. And I think this is just another way to extend the work that we're doing to really work with the military families and spouses. At the museum, I do a lot of work on audience, collaboration, partnerships such as Blue Star Families, and I just try to help make the museum more, better connect, I think, with our current and future audiences. So I think we should just talk about it. Let's just talk about museums, right? And why you actually might be a good fit to work in a museum, not just here in DC, but across the country. How's that sound?
Yeah, and if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your life, anything.
Oh my gosh. Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm going to turn 47 this summer. I guess it's a big birthday. I have a 3-year-old. My father was a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy on the USS Norton Sound. And so I have an affinity and a relationship to being a military family. It's a little bit different, I think, growing up for me. But I do think that this is a really important part of work. And I've been in the museum field for 25 years. I was an undergrad in studio art. And I found that museums were a great way for me to understand and participate in my community. And I have lived all across the country doing museum work. And I really love it because I think it really makes a difference in the lives of day-to-day people. And I have seen that museums have and do play a role in helping to create stronger, safer, better communities and create a stronger, better, safer society. And so I love museum work and I really believe in it. And I'm always happy to talk about why museums matter and why museums are a great place to work and how they can participate in all sorts of ways in the life of our public.
Yeah, no, that's super. I'm super glad to hear that you have a personal connection to the military, and it's true to your heart. So let's again. You said your love for museums. If you could share with us the life-changing moment of when you actually got into the National Museum of American History. How did that happen, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So I've been at American History Museum, part of the Smithsonian now for 7 years. Previously, I was in an art museum in Worcester, Massachusetts. And what it really drew me to the work of the Smithsonian and American History Museum was its civic work. The idea of that a museum is a place where people come together, not just to learn or explore art or science, but a place that participates in the civic life of its community. And oftentimes we might think about civics as something that's like voting or voter registration, but I think it's far bigger than that. I think it's all the ways we come together to create community and society and champion the future that we want. There was an opening and I was really fortunate enough to be able to get it. And it's been a blast. It's been an incredible journey. And I've gotten to do so much work and I just think really makes a difference in the lives of real people and across the country. And then I'm honored to have the chance to work at American History Museum and the Smithsonian and see visitors all across the country and the world. And so, let's talk about it. I also think that museums are great places to work. And I think they're something that maybe you're not thinking about or you haven't thought about are a good fit for you, somebody as a military spouse or somebody connected to the military. But I think it could be.
Yeah, no, it sounds like an amazing career that you've had. I know that you mentioned that you've been with the National Museum of American History for the past 7 years, and you've gotten to interact with people all over the world. I think that's a really unique experience to have at a museum in DC, as you probably do get to experience lots of nationalities and lots of different people. And I know you did mention that you get lots of military members that come through. Would you like to talk about that experience a little bit?
Yeah, we do, and I would say that all museums. I mean, yes, it's amazing if you're in a museum and you happen to have the opportunity to work in a museum in LA or New York or DC or or another major kind of international city like London or Paris. But all museums serve an audience in a community in a region. We happen to be blessed to be in Washington DC, where we see folks from across the country, or we see folks from across the world visiting Washington D.C. As tourists or folks coming to do their work or business on with something in D.C. But it's also interesting even to be in a small museum or a regional museum, and oftentimes, very often, almost daily, we have visitors who are coming here. Because they're happy to be in the military or they're connected, and it's an honor. It's really an honor to welcome all visitors, and truly a responsibility, I think, to be a museum and to welcome visitors. But it's a special one when we get the chance to actually be a place that welcomes military families, active duty members, veterans, to come in and make them feel truly welcome and special, and create an environment where they feel comfortable to learn and have a moment with their families or a moment with their peers and to learn history, or just to have a day off with their families. And so something that I really love and what we've gotten to do with Blue Star families is to create moments where families can come and this is a welcoming environment for them, or be at another museum. And what's better than that, to actually be able to welcome somebody and give them a chance to actually have a family outing or a date, or a chance for them just to get a little bit of respite and spend time in the gallery to learn something or see something or participate in a program. And I think that's what is so special. And I've seen that through Blue Star family volunteers participating in a program, helping, or I've seen that in programs. And I think all those many ways just are game changers, both for me as a staff member, but also as a member of the public, where they're getting a chance to participate and having conversation. And there's nothing better than coming together and seeing a conversation happen, or having people come in and having a meaningful experience as a family, as an individual, as a couple, or a visitor meeting another visitor, a military family meeting another military family, a spouse meeting another spouse. And when you can foster those experiences, I think it's really impactful, and you end up feeling like, wow, like my work that day was really special. We saw that certainly on the kickoff to Blue Star Museums, the national event that happened, and it was just so beautiful to watch different families coming together from the DC region who might be on one military base or another, and coming together and having a conversation over a cup of coffee or a snack, and just meeting them and saying, oh, you're on this base and I'm on that base, and and just exchanging numbers. And that's a museum program, and the chance to facilitate that alongside our friends at Blue Star families, be it the great DC chapter, the great Baltimore chapter. I love our DC chapter here, and I love our Baltimore chapter. But to be able to create experiences where people can just meet and exchange cell phone numbers, right? And where kids can meet other kids. I mean, how amazing is that? And that's thanks to Blue Star. And I think it's a special thing. It's a real service that they provide to the military community and to museums, and really showing the role that museums can play. And I hope we get to talk about that a little bit more.
No, we definitely thank you guys for being part of the Blue Star Museum program. We're especially grateful to all of our partners. I have experience using them this summer, especially in Miami. We love to get away from the heat, to get inside, to learn. Nice. And yes, like you mentioned, we've used it here to connect with other spouses and families, and it's just a great resource. So we appreciate you all. Going into museums, and a big part of why we're here today is for spouses who might be looking at museums as a career. What museum roles are a good fit for those spouses who might have a diverse or non-traditional background of moving around or different jobs?
Yeah. I mean, I love people, and I love talking to people, and people often will say, are you a curator? Are you a museum director? Are you a security guard? Because that's all they know. We've all seen Night at the Museum, and, you only can think of so many things, but a museum is an industry, it's a business. It's a nonprofit, just like any other. And so we have folks here who are, who do finance, who do security, who do IT, who do engineering. So the skills that you need to do all sorts of things that you have developed by being a military spouse, by being in the military, are the very skills we need in the museum field, right? If you are amazing at logistics and programming, and you do events, right? Which, being a military family or a spouse, you're always doing events, right? One way or another. Those are the very skills we need. And so everything that you would imagine in any other organization are the very skills and jobs that we have. We might call them something different, right? But they're very much the same things. And so, yes, you can go to a museum and you can walk through an exhibit and you can see some objects or art on the wall or objects that are of historical nature, but we do everything in between, right? Museums are places of work. We have an IT department, we have a finance department, we have engineers, we have all those things that help keep the building and the programs running. We have people that work in the community, we have people that do education, we have people that do special events, whether it's a wedding or a reception for a new exhibition. We have people that work in community partnerships, we have people who help raise funds, we have people that do government affairs. So every museum is slightly different, right? And every museum is different, not only because of their focus, be it a children's museum, an art museum, a history museum, a science museum, be it a large or small. So they're all slightly different. And of course, they're all across the country and the world, But I think what it means to me is that there's something in it for everyone. And there's a way that everyone can find out that maybe this is the type of work that they could do, whether it's a career or it's a part of their work experience. The other thing that I think I want to say, if you don't mind, is that there's a lot of museums. There's around 35,000 museums in the U.S. Should we repeat that, Aurora? There are 35,000 museums in the U.S., another 20,000 globally, right? So the U.S. is the largest kind of museum host, if you would say. Every year there are new museums opening up. Some of them are very large, where several hundred employees work. Or some of them are very small, where there's only volunteers or one paid employee. And the majority are local, small organizations, be it history museums that tell the story of a specific community or organization. And there's also a lot of museums that have a military connection, be it big ones that are dedicated to military history, or even little ones that have some kind of connection. And then there are things that are also interconnected. Maybe it's not a traditional museum, maybe it's an historic park or library or an organization that's similar. And so there's lots of different ways to think about working in a museum or with a museum, or even volunteering in a museum, right? To get that experience to help build your resume or build your network while you're trying to, that's right? There's 35,000 museums in the US, and that number continues to grow. So it's a really vital field that employs somewhere upwards of 200,000 people directly, and then the number is much larger if you think about all the industry that supports museums, in one way or another.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing all the specific entities of the museum that makes it run. I feel like a lot of times people think about a museum, and like you said, they think of like the top 3 positions, but they don't think about all the specifics that it takes to actually run a museum. Right. So I think it's really important for viewers to know, even if you think that you're outside the scope of museum, still look into those museum job postings and see if there's some leads. So awesome. Okay, so in your experience, which skills from a military spouse life would be most useful in museum work?
Oh my God, I love this question. I was really hoping that you would help, that you'd ask it, because I think, work is changing, right? And I've been doing this for 25 years, and certainly museum work and work has changed, right? And continues to evolve with AI and other things. And there are far better, smarter folks who can talk about that. But the very skills that help somebody be able to navigate and be able to continually uproot and repack and kind of reform or set up your family and your community are the very skills we need. We need that flexibility and that adaptability. We need the ability to kind of pivot and change. All those skills that you need to actually make it work as a spouse, right? Make it work as a military family. All those functions be able to kind of work within a structure, and at the same time have the flexibility to get information, to adapt. And all those things are the very skills that we need in museums. And I guess the question is why? Right? Because the museums are a really interesting an organization. By and large, they are nonprofits, meaning that the money they bring in goes back to the organization. So it's not going to the pockets of somebody like a for-profit. There are for-profit museums. In DC, we have the famous Spy Museum or something like that, or the Museum of Ice Cream, I think people might know in New York City. But most of them are nonprofits, meaning the money's going back. Right? But that means that they're a service provider. They're a service organization. Well, the military is all about service, right? And museums serve. They serve their communities. They serve their constituents. They serve a specific audience, and be it education or some kind of service. And I think that makes a museum or a library or a community organization such a natural fit, for somebody coming out of the military or somebody coming from that lens of being a military family, because it's what they've been trained and what they understand. And there's that part of the museum work that's such a fit. Also, the ability to actually connect with organizations, right? When we hire somebody, we really want them to be able to work and be able to connect with other groups so we can actually expand the reach of the museum or the connection and the exchange. So people who have experience working with the military or have experience working with families would be a great fit, because museums want to bring in more families. They want to bring in groups for education. They want to serve, different populations of the community or different ages of the community. So here you have this group that's like perfect. I don't know anybody who's either in the military or a veteran or a military spouse that's not connected to so many different groups and organizations, right? Of different ages, the seniors, the active, right? And it's the most hyper-connected organization I've ever seen. And so this is a group of people that are really ideally suited to be connected to a museum, whether it's full-time, part-time, volunteer, board, you name it. The military and military spouses are ideally suited to really be connected with museums. And I think the thing about it is both sides have to say, oh my God, this is a perfect fit. It's a perfect marriage. How do we connect? And again, I think it's a language issue to kind of help translate what a museum, those facets of a museum. But once you understand we're talking about the same thing, it's a perfect fit. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, I hope our viewers are taking notes, because those are really great points to kind of work into your resume or make sure to bring to the table during an interview, because those are really great opportunities to discuss how our attributes as military spouses or active duty or veterans can lead into real strengths working in the museum. A great question we just got in the comment section was actually my next question of, are there any flexible or remote opportunities to work in museums?
I absolutely think so. Yeah, I think the answer is yes. And it's very different depending on the organization, depending on the location. But, again, since it's 35,000 organizations across the country, and there's all sorts of organizations that contribute and for lack of a better term, lift the museum field, be our various associations, which are on the state or national level. There's so many different people. So I know lots of people, lots and lots of people that work with museums 100% remote. And I know lots and lots of people who have to be in the location of their organization. And I don't think it's one size fits all. But the thing about it is, as you start to show up to museums, as you start to kind of go and visit, and you start to kind of talk to the staff and go to programs and events and find out about volunteering or internships or jobs, right? You start to understand, like, well, how does it work? Right. And this is a field like any other. And so it takes a little bit of time to understand how it works. And that's why you're here today. So I think these things help you understand that it's definitely not one size fits all. And there's so many people doing so many different things, as you would imagine, in any field. And so I think the answer to the next question is yes, there are fellowships and there are internships. There probably are apprenticeships as well. We just call it something differently in the field, right? And what I also think is really important to know is that every state and region has an organization that works with the museum community that would probably be offering those resume workshops, those informationals. Or the fact is, the majority of these museums are small, and so they really probably would be able to have the conversation and say, here's what we're doing, or here's how a job works, right? And they have listings. They each will have a listing on their site, and because we are education organizations, we like talking about this. This isn't we're not law firms. We're organizations that want to teach and educate and help. And so I know, as a museum person, I love talking about how you do this work and how you apply. And I don't know anybody in the museum field who doesn't want to talk about the path and the process and isn't helpful with the information, And so I think if we can figure out how to be more helpful for Blue Stars so that people can show this, then I'm happy to do that. I'm also happy to help figure that out for others. And I know there will be others in the field who want to help this work. So yes, there's lots of ways to get involved. And there's lots of different opportunities to work, be it on-site, remote, fully remote, hybrid. I think all those things, and it's just trying to figure that out, what's right for you and what's right for that organization.
Right. No, you bring up great points. I think that for your specific museum, or I don't know if it's the Smithsonian as a whole, how would one go about, if they are local to the DC region, how would they go about seeing job listings?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We have job listings, on our website, and also USA Jobs on the Smithsonian's website. And we have a robust internship and fellowship programs that support American History Museum, but all the museums across the Smithsonian. And the Smithsonian websites for those jobs, internships, fellowships, and everything in between, volunteerism, are robust, and they're great. And the colleagues that do that work are wonderful. They're heroes, and so they would love to answer your questions. And I know that we have great websites that offer that information, as do all the other museums. I can assure you that those parts are really well identified, because museums want great talent. They want great talent, and they want to show that. And so definitely go to the sites, and you'll see that on the Smithsonian. And if my colleagues here can help highlight those places on the Smithsonian and American History website, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, those are great points. And speaking of your career in the museum, what is your favorite memory while working in the museum industry?
Other than today. So I've been doing this for 25 years, and I have to say, I truly do believe I'm in the right career field for me. I really do have a calling for this, and I believe in the greater purpose of museums, and I think of their awesome power and what they provide. Recently, I was sharing with you earlier before the call that we had a 3-week exhibition, part of civic season, which is Juneteenth. Juneteenth being the newest federal holiday, and July 4th. So we call that civic season. And American History Museum was one of 700 sites across the country and 15,000 programs celebrating civic life and civic activity. And so we had a 3-week exhibition, and we greeted and met with thousands of people, and we collected around 10,000 wishes, and the ability to collect wishes for the future of the country. That was the prompt: what's the future of the country? And by and large of them will go into a time capsule held for 50 years to reopen June 19, 2075. And the chance to kind of talk about that and hear from the public was truly something memorable. And again, it was the chance to actually meet with people and have conversations about the United States of America, about the future of this country, about the things that unite us. And it was reaffirming that we are a country where people want to come together to create better schools and society, better places of work, better states and towns. And it was so beautiful to talk with people and meet people from all across the country and the world. And so I was really grateful for that chance, and also to actually meet with see so many active duty and veterans at the museum. So it's just beautiful. So if you didn't get a chance to participate next year, Juneteenth to July 4th, go to your local museum or visit our museum's website, and we will help you find out how to get information about civic season. And actually, Blue Star was a huge participant at American History and across the country for civic season.
That sounds like a really unique and breathtaking experience. I love any kind of time capsule experience. I feel like it really unites people together and to think about the future and looking forward. So awesome experience. And last but not least, a quick tidbit for our viewers to leave with is, what would be a great first step if somebody is interested in breaking into the museum industry? If this next week that was their goal, what would be the first few steps they could take?
Visit a museum. Honestly, it sounds so obvious, but like any field, visit museums, visit a lot of them, and go to programs and talk with folks. Talk to the folks on the floor, set up coffees. If you want to do something and you're not really sure, ask somebody at the desk. Say, hey, I would love to meet with somebody. Go to their programs. I think you get so much out of putting yourself out there. I know it's hard to talk to somebody you might not know, but going to the museum and seeing if it's for you and spending some time there, and talking to people, going to programs, going to events that are museum related. And every community is a little bit different, but I have found that when people do that and they start putting that foot forward, it's returned. What I'm trying to say is it's return. And so really just visiting museums and seeing if that's a place that you would like to go. You might not know what you want to do there, but if you like the feel of it and you think, hey, this is worthwhile, then, the more often you attend, the more you go, and you can start asking people on the floor, like, well, how'd you get your job here? What's that like? And, who do I talk to about that? And, are there opportunities, or even reach out to this museum to say, hey, I know you're hiring for this, but I'm not really sure what that's about. Can I get a sense of what that position is? And remember, museums, they exist in your community. And so the people that work at that museum or volunteer at that museum or are on the board of that museum, they're in that community wherever you live, be it Jacksonville, Florida, or Washington, D.C. And so there's a way to connect with them. And I think Blue Star might be that bridge to help you meet those individuals. And if we can do that, let's do that. And I know we can do that via Blue Star and via the museum community. So I'd love to see that happen.
Well, thank you for that information. The networking piece is a huge, we know that's a huge piece of networking and getting into fields. So again, we just want to thank you, Adam, for
Oh
joining
my
us.
God, this was a pleasure. We're done already? I have more time. What?
Well, we could talk all day about museums. It's really
Definitely, and we can certainly do a career series about museums and fun things that we can do at the museum
Let's
as
do it.
well. And so we're very grateful for the opportunity. And I just want to highlight because I'm just very visual, Adam, and I like to be able to tell individuals where to go when in doubt, what they need to do. So I'm going to show everyone what your page looks like, and then explore events, upcoming
Look at
events
that.
to get involved. That is the best
And
way that
we
you'll know
we
what
do a
kind of
lot of
work.
military
Go
bands,
ahead.
so we've been blessed to have a great colleague that works with all the different military units, and we have a really wonderful military concert series. Shout out to my colleague and friend James Zimmerman. We always have a lot of military related events here, and yeah, come visit us in Washington D.C. We'd love to have you, or go visit your local museum and tell them you're with Blue Star. Tell them you're in the military. And if they don't know about Blue Star, I'd be very surprised, because museums do really love Blue Star, because it's an organization that really kind of reaffirms the awesome power of museums and why museums matter so much. And I thank you for that. I really do. I think Blue Star is one of those groups that says, here's why museums matter, and here's why your work really makes a difference in helping to connect military families and military spouses to their communities. And that's the point of what a museum is that bridge between different communities, be it the military community and the civilian world, or the business community and the nonprofit community. And so it's just wonderful, the work, and knowing that there's this community called Blue Star Families. And so I support you, and I champion you all for being part of this and taking the time out of your day to be here. And Aurora and my friend Laura, oh my God, what a series. You all are amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for donating your time today. I know you're very busy, and life in the museum is so funner than probably talking here in a
It's
live
fun work.
discussion. But we so appreciate
Yeah.
you walking us through the process of what a career looks like. And I think we're now going to start peeking through different
No,
opportunities, right,
you
Aurora? We're
are
going to
with
go
Blue
and
Star.
walk
You can't go
ourselves and get
anywhere. I don't want to hear from the Blue Star.
hire us. Yes.
Yeah.
We have 24 hours in the day,
All right.
Adam. We can make
Oh,
time
to
to do a
visit, sure.
second or third gig, but absolutely. Great. So, just one quick wrap up is for our members. Thank you, Aurora, so much for leading this discussion. And if there's anything that we can do for you, what is one project, one call to action that you can share with us, Adam, that we can all support for our members?
Championing them, love them, care for them, encourage them to visit museums. If there's a museum in your community that's not part of Blue Star, please let your colleagues here know that you would want access to it. If there's a way that you want more information to decode how to visit museums so you can feel more comfortable visiting as a family, visiting by yourself, if there's something that the museum field could be doing better so that you feel more comfortable visiting or more comfortable applying for jobs, or if there's anything we could do, if you can kind of point that out, I will work with my colleagues here to help you feel more comfortable so that you can apply, visit, bring your children, go as a date, whatever that means, because museums are what we make of them, and they're not places where you have to worry about being shushed, or they're not places where you have to worry that you don't know anything. They're places that are there to welcome you and embrace you and really celebrate who you are and the fact that you are a military family. They're going to love that, and they're going to really welcome you. I promise that. And they're not. You let us know. We'll figure out how to make it better.
Yeah, let us know. We'll truck him and we'll make him
Yeah.
fall in love with us. So I want to take a moment to, Aurora, let's take a moment to send shout outs to some of our
Love that.
members. And now I have this special talent that I can see two different monitors. So I'm going to send a shout out to Ray, who's watching on LinkedIn, Elizabeth, Kennedy, thank you so much. Maureen, thank you, William, Sally, Kristen, Allison, and then, of course, in our Facebook community, thank you so much for Julie, as well as our New England Blue Star Families chapter. Thank you for supporting. And then for all of our members in the neighborhood, thank you, Amy. Amy, she's fabulous, also volunteer here with Blue Star Families and leading our learner community. So thank you so much, Amy, for supporting as well, for Sierra and some of our other sponsors, community members as well. We'll get to watch this in the replay. But just so that we don't make this super long, and again, give Adam his time. Aurora, any thoughts, anything you discovered today as you will now navigate and share with the CoStar community about careers in the museum that is your big aha
Yeah,
moment?
I think Adam brought up a great point about how, don't look at museums as this one point facet job, of that they're multifaceted, and there's so many different opportunities to break into the museum industry and to volunteer and network. 100%.
Absolutely. So, everyone else, thank you so much for watching and supporting. Thank you, Aurora, again for leading this discussion, and Adam for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and visit us. Please come back anytime. We'd love to be able to do more segments, more shout outs for careers in the museums, or just in general, any activities. Send us our way. We'll make sure that we highlight those in our community. And for everyone else who's watching, see you next Wednesday. We have another great discussion. Another military spouse circle of influence leader will be carrying on the conversation. So until then, meet us in the neighborhood, and thank you for supporting your local museums as well. If you're in the DC, volunteer, give back 2 hours, 1 hour, 3 hours, one event, whatever you can is better to be active in your community networking than to be home wait until the next job, dream job. Sometimes you may find your dream job where you are actually in the job. So give it a thought and then get out there and celebrate with the local museum. So thank you so much everyone for watching. Have a great rest of your day.